Before we dive deep into the Dallas Cowboys' latest updates, we have to start with some personal news that's been making waves off the field. Quarterback Dak Prescott took to Instagram to share a major life event. He and his fiancée, Sarah Jane, have welcomed their second child. Another baby girl has joined the Prescott family, and her name, Aurora Rain. It's a unique and beautiful name that definitely caught attention, and it's clear that Dak is over the moon. So before we go full throttle into trade rumors and roster moves, take a second to send your congrats to Dak and Sarah. 2 little girls now, and who knows, maybe there's more on the way in the future, but now it's time to shift gears into what matters most to Cowboys Nation, football. And yes, like clockwork, the Kyle Pitts trade rumors are back in full swing. At this point, it almost feels like an annual tradition. Every few months, his name pops up. And without fail, the Dallas Cowboys are linked as a potential destination. This time around, the buzz started gaining traction when CBS Sports mentioned Dallas among a group of teams that could pursue Pitts if he became available. That mention was tied to a report from insider Jordan Schultz, who revealed that multiple teams had reached out to the Falcons about Pitt's availability. According to the report, nothing is imminent, but Atlanta could be enticed to start talks if a team is willing to put a day 2 draft pick on the table. Now, that phrasing right there, day 2 pick, could get the conversation going. That's where things start to get interesting, because that tells us Atlanta is open to the idea. They're not exactly shopping Pitts, but they're not slamming the door either. And that raises a bunch of questions. Who leaked this? Was it the Falcons suddenly letting the league know they'd listen? Was it Pitts camp trying to stir the pot? Or maybe it was just solid reporting from Schultz. Either way, the timing is no accident. Here's the thing. Atlanta doesn't really have a solid backup plan at tight end. Unless they truly believe Charlie Warner is ready to step into a starting role, which, let's be honest, is a stretch, they need Kyle Pitts and that offense, especially considering their current quarterback situation and a passing game that still hasn't found its rhythm. Pitts remains a key piece. And yet, the speculation is swirling, partly because he was notably absent from organized team activities. That absence raised some eyebrows, but it wasn't about a contract holdout. According to James Palmer, Pitts is dealing with a foot issue. He's been at the facility but hasn't practiced. That alone is enough to make any team hesitate. Trading for a player who's currently dealing with an injury, even if it's not considered serious, adds a layer of risk, especially when you're talking about giving up a premium draft asset and taking on a sizable salary. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler followed up and said that while Atlanta isn't aggressively shopping Pitts, they would listen if the right deal came along. From what Fowler heard, it seems like both the team and the player are open to the possibility of a move under the right circumstances. Pitts isn't banging the table asking out of Atlanta, but if a better opportunity came his way, say an offense that would feature him more, he'd be willing to consider it. It all adds up to a scenario where a trade isn't likely right now. But it's not out of the question either. A team like Dallas would have to be willing to part with a day 2 pick and absorb Pitt's salary, which is no small commitment. He's on a fully guaranteed 5th-year option worth nearly $11 million. For a tight end who struggled to stay healthy and hasn't produced at a high level over the past 2 seasons, that's a gamble, especially when you consider that his stats haven't been all that different from what Jake Ferguson has put up in Dallas, and Ferguson comes at a much lower cost. Sure, Pitt's rookie year was electric. Over 1,000 receiving yards, something that's almost unheard of for a tight end. But since then, the numbers have dipped. Part of that is on the Falcons' offensive scheme. Part of it is on Pitts himself. He's played in more games than Ferguson over the last 2 seasons, yet the production is surprisingly similar. So if you're Dallas, you really have to ask, is the upside worth the investment? Ferguson has become a reliable target, especially last year when Cooper Rush was under center during Dak's injury absence. He's not flashy, but he's dependable. Pitts, on the other hand, offers more explosive potential. He can stretch the field in ways few tight ends can. But do you want to give up a day 2 pick and pay $11 million for a maybe? That's the dilemma facing the Cowboys, or any team thinking about making that call. To be honest, the whole situation feels like one of those quiet admissions before a breakup. You know, when both sides start saying things like, we love him, but, and if the right opportunity came along, It's not a trade that's going to happen tomorrow, but it definitely feels like the groundwork is being laid. Maybe things stay quiet through the preseason. Maybe injuries or poor offensive performances spark renewed interest as the trade deadline approaches. Or maybe Pitts finishes out the year in Atlanta and hits free agency, where a team like Dallas could take a swing without surrendering a draft pick. In that kind of scenario, it might actually make more sense for the Cowboys. If Ferguson and Pitts end up with similar contract demands next offseason, maybe Dallas decides to chase the higher upside in free agency instead of paying Ferguson market value. You wouldn't be giving up a draft pick, and you could potentially add a dynamic weapon at a position where you're already pretty solid. Still, all of this remains hypothetical for now. And don't forget, the Cowboys don't even have a third-round pick at the moment. That makes pulling off a deal even trickier. They do have fourth-rounders, but historically, Dallas doesn't love parting with those either. Could they get creative? Sure. But the timing just doesn't feel right. Not yet. Maybe down the line if things change, but right now it's more rumor than reality. And while we're on the subject of player movement, there's been another little nugget floating around. George Pickens and the mysterious jersey number. Fanatics has updated their pre-order listing for his Cowboys jersey, and it now shows him wearing number 3. That's a bit strange because during OTAs, Pickens has been seen wearing number 13. Is this just a placeholder? Is he switching to 3 because of the whole GP3 branding? George Pickens III. No one knows for sure yet, but it's something to keep an eye on. Currently, number 3 belongs to Dante Fowler, so if Pickens is really making the switch, there could be some behind-the-scenes negotiation happening. Maybe Fowler gives up the number for a price, or maybe the whole thing is just an error on Fanatics' end. Either way, it's another odd little storyline in an offseason that's already full of them. Speaking of Fowler, let's transition to another defensive player who's been in the news, safety Donovan Wilson. Credit to Nick Harris, who was the first to report the details of Wilson's injury. Turns out he underwent a knee scope, not something that should impact his availability for training camp. It's likely a follow-up to a knee issue he dealt with last year, which he played through before aggravating it again. So this offseason procedure was probably just a cleanup job to get him right for camp. When Wilson is playing at his best, the Cowboys defense tends to follow suit. He's one of those tone setters, but when he's not locked in, missing tackles, struggling in coverage, it shows. That's why some people have called him a swing player. His performance can tip the balance of the entire defensive unit, and yet, believe it or not, there's been buzz about him being a post-June 1st cut candidate. We're already past that date, so theoretically, Dallas could cut him and save about $7 million against the cap. But honestly, that doesn't make a ton of sense. If they were going to move on, why wait until now? Why not do it months ago and use the savings to bring in another veteran safety? As things stand, the Cowboys have Malik Hooker, Marquez Bell, and Wanye Thomas behind Wilson. And while Bell and Thomas have shown flashes, neither has proven they can be reliable starters. Cutting Wilson now would leave a huge hole in the secondary without a clear plan to fill it. And let's not forget, the Cowboys haven't really made any meaningful additions at the safety position this offseason. So unless something changes drastically, it looks like Wilson is staying put for now. Looking further ahead, next year might be a different story. Wilson will be a free agent, and with cap concerns always looming, Dallas might decide to move on. But in the current moment, it just doesn't track logically. If anything, the move would create more problems than it solves. And while we're on the topic of potential post-June 1st moves, one name that continues to hover around trade rumors is Jalen Ramsey. His situation with the Dolphins is complicated, to say the least. His current cap hit is north of $16 million. And while a trade would save Miami close to $6 million, the dead money hit in future years is substantial. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Rumors are swirling around the Dallas Cowboys as whispers emerge that star wide receiver Amari Cooper has arrived at the team's headquarters, sparking speculation about a possible new contract extension. Sources close to the situation hint that Cooper, who has been a key player for the Cowboys offense, may be on the verge of signing a lucrative 4-year deal that could keep him in Dallas for the foreseeable future. The buzz started when observers spotted Cooper entering the Cowboys facility, fueling intense chatter among fans and analysts alike. While no official statement has been released by the team, insiders suggest that talks have been progressing rapidly, and an agreement could be imminent. Cooper's potential return on a long-term contract would signal a significant commitment from the Cowboys, who see him as an essential piece in their offensive strategy. Since joining Dallas, Cooper has proven himself to be one of the most reliable targets for quarterback Dak Prescott. His precise route running and ability to make crucial plays have elevated the team's passing game, making him a fan favorite and a respected figure in the locker room. The prospect of securing Cooper for 4 more years would not only stabilize the Cowboys' receiving core, but also send a message to the rest of the league about the franchise's ambitions. Speculation also revolves around the financial terms of the possible contract. Industry insiders estimate that a deal of this length could be worth tens of millions, potentially placing Cooper among the higher-paid wide receivers in the NFL. Such a commitment would underscore the team's desire to build a championship caliber roster around their core players. Fans are eagerly awaiting confirmation, and social media has been abuzz with reactions to the news. Some believe that locking down Cooper could be the catalyst for a deep playoff run, while others are curious about how this move might affect the Cowboys' salary cap and future roster decisions. While nothing is official yet, the sighting of Amari Cooper at the Cowboys' headquarters has certainly set the rumor mill in motion. If the deal comes to fruition, it could mark a pivotal moment in the franchise's efforts to reclaim their spot among the NFL's elite. For now, all eyes remain on Dallas as the saga unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.